TGIF, it's Friday, January 2nd, 2026. If you or a loved one has suffered a tragic crash, get the firm with the most board-certified in trucking and accident law attorneys. Nationally renowned and located in Wyoming, Colorado, and Montana. Call Grant Lawson and the law firm for truck safety. Well, pieces of that California storm will be ejecting across the west. We had a little wave come through yesterday, producing a little bit of snow shower activity in the mountains and a few rain or snow showers in the low elevations across the western United States. That California storm is going to send a piece through today, and we're going to see another piece come across the region during the second half of the weekend and into early next week. So it's kind of coming in pieces and not whole. But we will have an active weather pattern, but again, as we've been repeating for weeks on end, mainly for areas along and west of the Continental Divide and the closer to the coast you get. But there will be a little bit of weather coming on through with the remains of this California storm over the course of the next 4 to 5 days. Now, the blocking pattern shows signs of weakening next week, and this is going to send another system through the west, this time a colder one, as we get into Thursday and Friday. And really, what is going to be happening this week with this Thursday-Friday system is the beginning of the end of the blocks in the Greenland area and in the North Pacific. So our confidence continues to grow, and we're going to talk more about this next week in terms of what this means with the big picture. But certainly, the pattern that's been like this for more than a month is showing signs of finally starting to change. So is the block finally breaking? I think the answer to that is going to be yes, but it's going to be a slow process. Don't expect immediate changes, but changes nonetheless are on the table. Shot there of Estes Park of the high and mid-level moisture that really came in from the Pacific yesterday in thick layers after several days of a lot of blue sky and sunshine. And you can see why. We've got the curl of clouds here off the Pacific coast. We've got a disorganized upper level low right here. It's small, but it is getting pushed on through, and this is going to cause what we'll see as a little bit of weather today. The water vapor showing this system here a little bit better. And you can see deep moisture going to be coming into California again for more rains and more Sierra snows. So there's a little bit of weather to talk about. So there's that little weak disturbance that's going to be passing through the Rockies today. Again, it's not a big weather maker, but enough to put a little bit of snow on the ski slopes and change up temperatures a little bit. By Sunday morning, there's another little ripple that's going to be coming on through, and the West Coast storm system is finally showing signs of wanting to move after getting unstuck. But we still have the Greenland block. However, approaching the Aleutians block is a deep low pressure system coming across, basically coming out of Northeast Asia and Siberia and pushing in and wanting to erase this high pressure ridge right here eventually. So what will come through later will be this next piece of low coming on in Sunday and Monday. Now we have a lot of winter weather advisories in the mountains of the west as that first system, that piece that's going to come through today, is going to produce a little bit of weather. We're going to have a little bit of wintry weather here with kind of a wintry mix across portions of eastern Nebraska. We've got winter storm warnings for the Sierra Nevada and a lot of fog advisories in effect where you see the green areas, lake effect snows for today and into the weekend up into the Great Lakes region. So this is basically the next 72 hours between now and Sunday. So the moisture gets to areas along and near the Continental Divide. That's where we're going to have a little bit of a wintry mix in Nebraska. A little bit of shower activity gets out east of the divide, but not much. And snowfall between now and Sunday looks like this in the mountains. Now, the secondary piece of system comes through as that California storm fractures with a piece breaking off and going south, but a couple of waves coming through. Doesn't look like much. However, there's going to be another slug of Pacific moisture coming. The Greenland block is still there. However, the Aleutians block has got this low coming on in, and we don't have a big blocking ridge there anymore. So by early next week, the Aleutian ridge really taking a beating. The Greenland blocking ridge is starting to shift a little bit more to the east. So what this means is systems can now have a chance to come in instead of stalling out along the west coast. Also, We're going to see a realigning of the polar vortex. Next week, we're going to be talking about the polar vortex and another stratospheric warming event that we'll have to spend some time on because that's going to play a role as we go deeper into the month of January. So this is the next piece. Basically, this is what comes through during the day, Monday and the Tuesday. So there's going to be, along and west of the divide, another wet period of rain and snow showers, lower elevations, some snow in the high country. Again, along and west of the divide as the rest of that California system finally comes on through, but it'll bring another round of snow to the high country along and west of the divide. Next week, this gets us into Thursday. So on Thursday, a couple of things to look at right off the bat. If you gravitate towards the Aleutians, we've got a deep low now instead of a high, 180, a complete reversal. The Greenland block is getting pinched off a little bit, as you can see right here, and the jet stream's kind of punching on through. There's still a little bit of a blocking pattern, but essentially, by the end of next week, both of the blocks are either significantly weakened or taken down. And lo and behold, that allows a little bit of a larger, colder system to come into the western United States. And notice, instead of a low along the west coast, there's a high now. So this is where things begin to change. So we're changing the spacing. We're changing where the semi-permanent flow of the jet stream has been for the last several weeks. So this is going to bring some weather by Thursday and Friday. Colder temperatures, mountain snows, and while I don't envision this as being a deep, big storm, there may actually be a little bit of weather out here on the plains with it as it comes on through, signaling the beginnings of the change in the weather pattern. And if we take a look from a hemispheric standpoint, this is the same time frame. This is Thursday, January 8th, and this is Thursday, January 8th, but looking down on the North Pole, looking at the whole northern hemisphere. So the Aleutians block is gone, and notice we've got the Greenland block. It's more of a straight line flow. We don't have the big undulations of the omega blocking patterns like we saw before. And so what you see now is a trough in the west because we are realigning things with the blocks beginning to go away. Now, if we were to translate this and go another week, let's go into the week around January 15th or so, towards the middle of the month, what we see is a big high building up along the Gulf of Alaska, along the west coast of Canada, big polar vortex in Hudson Bay, and a very broad, very large trough that goes coast to coast, opening the door to Canada. Will this happen? Of course, this is 2 weeks from now. But what it is hinting at is the blocks being gone, the weather pattern readjusting, and instead of what's been a constant area of low pressure over this part of the North American continent for the last several weeks, reverses. So that should reverse the weather in this part of the country as well. It should, if it happens. The big question is if. And this is something we'll spend more time for you on Monday. In the meantime, expect this California storm to keep the weather pattern a little bit busy, especially if you're in the mountains and areas west of the divide. And there's that northern hemisphere look of this same pattern here for the middle of the month. And you can see what a dominant feature this is in the eastern Pacific, a complete reversal from where we are now. And again, the Greenland block, not really there. This polar vortex action right here is something to watch. Another big polar vortex on the other side of the globe. So the middle to the end of the month should offer up at least a little bit of a different flavor to the weather. Don't forget our regional travel forecast updated each afternoon, Monday through Fridays, and weekends when we need it. Have yourself a good weekend, the first weekend of the new year. We'll see you on Monday.